Welcome to That's Life. I'm your host, Leach. And you can see I got the home team with me. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Saturday show. This is going to be a heavy show. We're going to probably lighten it just a little bit because, of course, we have to put our flair on it. But this is going to be a pretty heavy show, y'all. So I'm just going to give you this up front and personal because I just want to be transparent. It's important that we are transparent as we talk about this show. Make sure that you send some friends in because we got some good things that we're going to be talking about. We're excited to be able to just have conversation about things that are uncomfortable. That's one of the reasons why we started this show, was to kind of talk about some uncomfortable conversation. So before we get started, we do have a little bit of a video that we like to play before we start. All right, so it's important that we talk about this show, but we also are sensitive to those who are very similar to us that are trying to expand family and are in the process of bringing family into the picture. Okay, so as you know, we always talk about social media and we put the social media plug out there. You can follow us on all social media platforms, including now TikTok, IG, of course, our YouTube channel, Facebook, and of course, our website at that'slifebyleach.com. Go to all of our stuff. We have some cool things that we've done, including butterfly moves. We had our butterfly moves episode today that aired. Super excited to be back with you guys for that. And of course, you can see all the replays of the butterfly moves we've done to this point. And then, of course, from season 1 to 6. Okay, so you can tune into all of that. Now, I did not get COVID numbers, y'all. I'm just slipping on my pimp. But
a long day.
It has been a long day, but I did that intentionally. But it's important that we talk about COVID. It is still present. I know we're doing hot girl summers and hot guy summers, and we're out there, we're outside again, and it's all good stuff. But please make sure that you're taking care of yourself, especially now during this pandemic, because we're still in a pandemic. We're still very much in a pandemic, and it's just important that we take care of ourselves. So on today's show, we're going to be talking about pro-life, pro-choice, but we're also going to just talk about our experiences as it relates to this. Now, I have to put out a full disclaimer in reference to both of us, and she's going to jump in, of course, and chime in as she needs to. This show is based on how we feel, okay? It's based on how we feel. We're not here to sell you a political agenda as it relates to pro-life, pro-choice. You decide how you feel about it the way you feel about it. This is just our take and experience that we've had as it relates to pro-life and pro-choice. We're not going to really talk a lot about Roe versus Wade because we kind of talked a little bit about that last Saturday's show, but we're going to talk about abortion. We're just going to talk about it. We're going to have a conversation about abortion. We're going to talk about our experience as it relates to it. We're going to do a very stat-heavy show. This is a very heavy show with full of stats because we want to kind of give you numbers and context, okay? So when we get back, we're going to kick straight off into the show and talk about pro-life, pro-choice. We'll be right back. Welcome back to That's Life. I'm your host, Leach, with the home team to talk about a very heavy topic. And we had this conversation as a family core, our two with us two, about abortion and just the conversation about pro-life and pro-choice. As you all know, like I said, this is going to be a heavy show. We ourselves, these are our thoughts, our opinions, just like everybody has their thoughts and opinions. We're not here to sell you on any one agenda or another, but these are just things that we've experienced and felt. So without further ado, we're going to talk about pro-life and pro-choice. We have seen multiple conversational pieces about this, even down to the recent things that have come out with Roe versus Wade. It's just been a very heavy conversation. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some things that we feel are important for the show in its context. So from the website worldpopulationreview.com, an abortion is a termination of pregnancy by the removal or expulsion of an embryo or a fetus. Abortions can be performed surgically or by medication. Abortion is a controversial subject, with many people believing that it's a woman's right to choose. At the same time, others have religious, political, and personal reasons to believe that abortions are wrong or a sin. Currently, abortions are illegal in 26 countries. We heard that, 26. That's the number that we have to keep in mind, okay? But in the United States, it is not illegal yet, okay? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well, too, because we are going to talk about that, all right? So now the next statistics, and again, like I told you before, this is a very stat-heavy show. So it's important that we keep this in context because it is a very stat-heavy show. In a study from verywell.com, some people listed multiple reasons for why they have chosen the route of abortion. This survey, as you can see, there's different regions and there's different percentages of people and what they've chosen, okay? This survey uses open-ended questions, not a checklist or a research-generated reason. So as you can see, there are different reasons, including financial. It could be anything from that to it interferes with educational plans, to health-related reasons, or to just, period, they're just not ready to have a baby, okay? Some other common reasons are having a baby would dramatically change my life. I have completed my childbearing. Some women just choose to not have a baby because they've already had kids. I don't want people to know I've had sex or I've gotten pregnant. Most people cite 2 to 4 different reasons for abortion, not just one reason, okay? So that's the important part of all of this. So it's not just one reason why people choose to abort. This now is a map, and this map is a consensus of the different states that have high, mid, and low abortion rates in the United States of America. As you can see, the ones that are in like the wine color, those are the ones that have the highest amount of abortion rates. The ones that are kind of like the peachy color, those are the ones that are in the middle, and then all the ones that are light pink are the ones that are the lowest. So the highest states with abortion rates are as follows. The District of Columbia, or DC, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Florida, California, Nevada, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Delaware. The states with the lowest rates of abortion, including Wyoming, South Dakota, Kentucky, Idaho, Missouri, Mississippi, West Virginia, Utah, South Carolina, and Nebraska. So as you can see, that's the map of all those in the United States. And we're of course going to deal with the United States because that's where we currently live. So we're going to deal with that as it is as a whole. So we're going to throw it to Sean first because Sean and I have our experiences and our stories. We've never talked about our stories really to anyone other than to ourselves. We've talked about it amongst ourselves since the day that we met, almost 12 years ago to date. And so we talked about this particular topic a lot. We've actually talked about it with our children. We've talked about it amongst each other. So Sean, tell the people a little bit about your story, or a lot about your story, whatever you want to choose to talk about.
Well, with my story, a lot of people don't know that I did go through abortion. It wasn't by my choice. It was actually by the doctor's choices. Because I was having a lot of pain, and the doctor said that I was having an abnormal pregnancy, and so there was concern about it. They didn't go into too much detail. I guess they told my mom, but nobody decided to tell me because I was under 18, so didn't really have much say in it. But I know I was in excruciating pain where there's days I couldn't move because it wasn't that much pain. So they set up an appointment for me to have an emergency abortion, and I remember seeing the ultrasound of seeing, my baby in the ultrasound. That was the first and the last time I've ever seen that. So that is burned to my memory. I remember how I felt when I woke up from the anesthesia and hearing other women around me, that there was some that was crying, that was some that was happy, but I just felt utterly sick from everything that happened. And I think from that day, it kind of changed me. I know I was depressed for a few days. I still had to turn around and go to school and live a normal life like as if it didn't happen. The person I was pregnant by kind of got away. He didn't even tell anybody that I was pregnant. So I had to live with that with my mom, knowing why he got to live his regular life like as if nothing happened. But, that day is a day that I can never forget.
And in terms of your mental, because like you said, it was a day that you could never forget. How do you feel like it influenced you then, and how do you feel like it's influenced you now?
Well, the way I think it influenced me then is that I should have tried to fight against it more, stand up for my own self instead of letting everybody else make the decision for me. So now I try to stand up for myself a little bit more than I did before. Even though I was a child then, I still had a voice. It was still my body at the end of the day. But now I make sure that whatever's going on in my body, I speak up for it.
Definitely. And would you say that in terms of your life, do you believe that it has left an imprint on your life today? And how so has it left an imprint on your life?
It left a huge imprint on my life, because now, as we've talked about in our shows before, that I'm trying to conceive, and now it's like harder for me now than how it was before. It's like, wow, then it was like quick. Now it's like have to go through all these stepping stones and all these surgeries and stuff that I have to do. It's impacting me in that kind of way where I look back on it, it's like, that was stupid.
Yeah. And what would you say, or would you say that this was your biggest regret in your entire life?
It's the sole biggest regret that I've had. I wish I could go back and change that day and not have that done at all.
I'm sure. And in terms of how you feel about pro-life and pro-choice, because obviously, we still, at the end of the day, it was a pro-choice move that you made in order to take this step to do it. Do you consider yourself more pro-choice than pro-life? Are you in the middle? What is your take on pro-life, pro-choice?
I mean, with mine, I'm basically in the middle, because I don't want to judge on somebody else's life. You don't know what their life is unless you're living in their shoes, what their circumstances are. Some people, that's been raped and now have this pregnancy is a constant reminder. Like, will that mom be able to ever love their child to the fullest because it's a memory of a rape that they've had? Or they have illnesses and now they're afraid that their child's going to get the illness. And there's tests you can do now that can tell, like, yes, your child's going to have this type of deformity or whatever. Now you have to weigh. It's like, okay, if I bring this child into this world, I'm going to cause them nothing but a life of pain and surgeries compared to just terminating it. So you don't know what is going on in a person's life. So I don't want to say one way or another. I guess I'm just in between. And at the end of the day, it's whatever person's circumstances is.
Absolutely. And that's a good take to have, or just a point of view to have, because I think a lot of times people want to make this particular topic a very black and white situation. It's not always black and white. This is not a black and white topic. And for so long, we've had this whole debate about Roe versus Wade and just this whole conversation about sin and all of that. And it's just, to me, it's kind of like you said, it's like ludicrous, like that we're even having a conversation about that, especially since all situations are not the same.
It's not like everybody's just going around just having sex and getting pregnant, like, nope, abort.
And some people are, but more often than not, that's usually not the case. And, you know, obviously it's just a pretty crazy situation. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to continue on this conversation about pro-life, pro-choice, and we're going to talk a little bit about my experience as it related to the decision that I had to make. So when we come back, we're going to continue on the conversation. We'll be right back.
I didn't realize that going to take my first mammogram would impact the rest of my life. I had my life planned out, and I felt prepared in all aspects. I thought I had it all figured out until May 10th, 2017. Never in a million years did I know that breast cancer would be the newest and latest chapter of my life. My life, although chaotic, was stable. In a matter of months, my life was turned inside out. This is a story of my life. It breaks down how I discovered cancer, my journey through the pain and obstacles of it, and how I'm currently dealing with the aftermath. I must move forward on this unpaved road called life. I hope that after reading my story, you'll be more inspired, you will be stronger, you will feel freer, and you are able to move forward in your own journey, whatever that may be. God bless you, and know that I'm in your corner.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to That's Life. I'm your host, Leach. Thank you so much for tuning in to our segment about pro-life, pro-choice, but really it's not so much about pro-life, pro-choice as it is just our thoughts and opinions and our story about what we've experienced. As I told you guys before, this is a very stat-heavy show. We wanted to give you good statistics about abortion. We didn't just want to come on here and tell you about you should choose pro-life, you should choose pro-choice. We wanted to give you statistics so you can understand it as a whole. So now we're going to go to the next statistic of the night. And it's important that you see context and you see numbers, because these are numbers that impact people when they make the decisions that they make. So from Forbes.com, the CDC received reports that 629,898 abortions in 2019. This is the last full year of available data based on the CDC. The agency started tracking the number of legal abortions, and notice I said the word legal abortions in the United States in 1969. Okay, so that means that there was probably some abortions way before 1969 that were not recorded in these numbers. Providers voluntarily submitted data to states, which means that the data set is incomplete and it excludes states like California, Maryland, and New Hampshire. So the actual number is far likely higher than the number that you see right there. The model-based approach developed by researchers from the Guttmacher Institute, World Health Organization, and the United Nations puts the average annual number of abortions in the United States around 886,000. You heard me, people. 886. All right. A little under half of the total 6.1 million pregnancies in the United States were considered unintended in 2011, according to a New England Journal of Medicine study, which is the most recent data cited by the CDC. The highest rates of unintended pregnancy were among women ages 20 through 24. It's very important to consider the ages because that also has an impact on how these numbers are given. There were also higher rates among certain demographic groups, including low income, Black, and Hispanic women. The Guttmacher Institute estimated that about 18% of pregnancies will end in abortion. The vast majority of abortions occur in the first trimester, according to the CDC. Nearly 80% of abortions happen at or before 9 weeks of gestation, and 93% occur at or before 13 weeks, which is about 3.5 months, 3 months in a week. The average pregnancy lasts around 40 weeks, and the medication abortion is an option up to 10 weeks. So you can take medication to do an abortion now compared to back in the day when you had to do the actual surgery. Texas, Oklahoma, and Idaho have all recently passed bans on abortions after 6 weeks. In 2020, 12% of American households surveyed by the Federal Reserve said that they would be unable to pay for a procedure that is $400 to $560 in terms of abortions by any means. So y'all can see these numbers. These are astronomical numbers. Abortions are not cheap, people. They're just not. And a lot of women are having to make the choice whether to abort or to not abort. So now we're going to talk a little bit about my story. And my story is one of those stories that it's difficult for me to talk about. Still to this day, it happened almost 20 years ago. Today, actually, it is 20 years ago, 20 years to go to date. It's still very difficult for me to talk about because I can't believe that I actually did it. It's one of those things that I live to regret it, and I probably jumped ahead of you and answered one of your questions.
Kind of did, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things that I struggle with every day. At the time, I was dating a guy, and I'll tell you a little bit about the backstory. I met this guy when I was 19 years old, back in 1999. I thought I was all in love. I thought he was my boo, my bae. I was prepared to marry this man and have 20 of his children and go live on a farm. I was planning on living the dream, American dream life with this man. I was. I really believed, I thought I was going to marry this man. As a matter of fact, this man actually told my mother that he was going to marry at 19 years old. And so we dated for a year and a half, and he abruptly broke up with me. And I remember feeling devastated, not really sure about myself, and definitely questioned a lot about who I was internally as a woman, because I was freshly 20 when he and I broke up. I just thought this is it. I thought I was the one. I thought I was going to be his boo forever. And I just was a mess. After we broke up, I continued to still sleep with him, which was probably not the best move on my part. I continued to have a relationship with him, even though I knew that he was not being completely faithful to me. Not faithful, as I should say, that he wasn't being completely honest about the relationships that he was in. So much and so that he ended up moving out of the apartment that he and I shared, and he moved somewhere else. And during the time we got together, we conceived a child. I didn't even know I was pregnant, people. I went to the doctor because I was having abdominal pain, and I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought it was just regular abdominal pain, and I was actually due for an appointment at the OBGYN. And so I went to my OB just to see what was going on, and lo and behold, I was 6 weeks pregnant with this man's child. I was shocked. I was scared. At the time, my mother and I didn't really see eye to eye about this particular relationship, which is good because she actually was trying to save me, and I wasn't really seeing that for what it really was. And so I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I literally did not know what to do. I went to this young man to tell him that I was pregnant, and he immediately told me, "You need to have an abortion. I'm not having a baby. I'm not doing this. We're not doing this." He was almost 25 years old at that point. And I was like, "No, we're going to have a baby." Actually, I'm sorry. He was almost 26. I was 21. He was 26. I was like, "No, we got to do it." He's like, "No, we're not doing this. And if you're going to do it, you're going to do it as a single mom." And because I loved him so, and I wanted to show him that I heard what he said against better judgment, I went and had an abortion. To this day, it is one biggest regrets that I have in my I still remember what the clinic smells like. I still remember the sounds that I hear. I remember when the doctor told me she was going to sedate me. I remember vivid things about that particular day. I remember, like you, the ultrasound of hearing the baby's heartbeat before I had the abortion. And I was young. I couldn't have made that decision now, of course, in my age now. But back then, to bring a baby into the world probably was one of the worst decisions I could have done for myself, because this young person, this man that I was with, was not going to be there in the picture. I think about what would be my child all the time. All the time. There's not one day I wake up and not one day I go to sleep where I don't think about that.
It kind of sticks with it, doesn't it?
It does. So that's a little bit about my story.
What would you have told yourself back then that you know now?
I would have told that man to kick rocks with flip-flops. Straight up.
That's what you told yourself?
I would have told him, I would have told me to tell him to go somewhere. Because at the end of the day, it was my choice to make, and I allowed someone else to make the choice for me. I would have told myself, you're strong. You got this.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing. You don't know what you're doing. But guess what? Like, do we ever know what we're doing when it comes to things in our life? Most of the time, we don't. And so I would have just told myself that it's time to grow up and be a woman up.
So there's a lot of women that's probably been in your shoes where they've gotten pregnant by men. And there's a lot of men out there, quick first response is get an abortion. And of course, they don't know what it does to a woman's body. They just quick fix, it's done, it's over with. What would you tell to another woman that's going through the exact same thing you do right now?
I would tell them, take your time and make the decision yourself. Because whether that man is there or not there, you know it's right. Internally, you know it's right. You know it's right for you in your situation. You know what you have to do or not have to do. And don't let anybody steer you away from what you feel you want to do. If you want to bring this baby into this world, bring that baby into the world, because everything that happens by divine order. Yeah. It happens by God, right?
Yep.
And so we just have to trust that it's all going to work out. It's all going to be okay. I always question my spirituality and my relationship with God based on that decision.
Wow.
And I know that God loves me and he forgives and he'll see me through. But I always question, is that going to be one of the things in the book that he gets me for, that he's going to ding me for?
Something that you have to internally pray over and ask him yourself when you get your answers. What would you say that's changed you?
Oh yeah, it's changed me.
How has it changed
more than ever could? Because it allowed me to be able to say, we're not going to let anybody make decisions for you anymore. As a matter of fact, when I got pregnant with Yuri, there was a fear. I'm not going to lie. At that point, I was 26 years old when I got pregnant with Yuri. And I was still scared. 5 years later, I was still scared about being a parent. And I remember having a conversation with the children's father and him saying, are you sure you want to have a kid? And I was like, look at here, buddy. There it is. Whether you're here or not, I'm going to do this. Whether you're in the picture or not, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And feeling empowered to be able to make that choice to do this. And it was the best decision I ever made, because now, almost 15 years later, my son is thriving. He's happy. He's healthy. And I cannot imagine having to have made that choice again. Whether their dad was there or not, I was prepared to be a mom.
Lesson learned, huh?
Lesson learned. And I was never going to do it again. And so, I would say, just in my learning experience, I've learned to just be able to stand on my own and to stand firm on my own.
Which is very empowering.
It is. That's the most empowering thing that you can do as a woman, is you make the choice. Don't allow anybody else to make the choice for you. You make the choice because you have to make the choice. Yeah. And of course, you make the choice with your boyfriend, whoever it may be. But at the end of the day, ultimately the choice falls to you. to do what you need to do for your life. We're going to go into our halftime show. I'm so excited about our halftime show. We're going to have some cool new halftime videos coming up in the near future. But for right now, we're going to do the halftime shows that we do have present. So we're going to do the Flavor King. And we're going to do the Mini Chef. And then we're going to do the segment of them together.
Ooh,
so check out Minute with the Mini Chef.
Hi, I'm Carmen, and this is Minute with Mini Chef. Today we're going to make homemade honey mustard. You can make this vegan by using vegan mayo and maple or agave syrup. For regular homemade honey mustard, mix mayo, yellow mustard, Dijon, mix to combine. Then add your honey. And there you have it. Homemade honey mustard. I hope you enjoy. Bye!
Hi, I'm Yuri, and welcome to Minute with the Flavor King. Cooking is one of my favorite things to do. I love spices, but many people don't know the difference between seasoning and flavor. So here's the difference. To season is to bring out the natural flavor of the food without changing it. Seasonings are added near the end of cooking. Seasonings include salt, pepper, and acid. Flavoring changes the original flavor of the food. It can be used to create a unique flavor. Flavorings include chili powder, lemon pepper, garlic powder, and chives. So whether you season or flavor, have fun with cooking.
You ever just dream big, dream real big? I mean, I wonder what that would look like. I think the best part about being behind the camera and figuring it all out is getting the pieces, collecting all of the pieces that make the puzzle a complete picture. How do you make it all come together? Situations, scenarios, and different things on the screen. What is it that you want to do? When it's time to actually be creative, collaboration is key. You can count on me to help turn that vision into reality.
Hey, I'm Natasha Nedrick, the Empowerment Coach and founder of Empowering Imprints. And I have a question for you. When is the last time you went to work and you did something really life-giving? I mean, you showed up on a Monday morning and you were excited to be there. The truth of the matter is, far too often we find ourselves climbing corporate ladders we never intended to be on. Why? Because we have convinced ourselves that the only way we can make money to put food on the table to take care of our family is to work at a job that leaves us dead and feeling unsatisfied. Well, I want to challenge you to change your narrative, to believe that the gifts and the talent and the purpose and the passion that God placed inside of you shouldn't be going to waste. In fact, it should be making you money. As an empowerment coach, I work with faith-based entrepreneurs and professionals to help them discover their purpose, monetize their gifts, and build wealth. You keep saying you're ready to start your business, to write your book, to start your next. You know what God has placed inside of you. You keep putting it on hold. You know what it is. You just need someone to empower you to get it out of you. Go to empoweringimprints.com and let me empower you to do your next.
Welcome to That's Life. I'm your host, Leah Leach, with the home team.
Home team, baby.
Thank you so much for tuning into our segment. Shout out to the mini chef and the Flavor King. Big ups to them. They're doing such an amazing job. We're so grateful and thankful for their expertise because they're the ones who actually come up with these cool segments. And we're so excited about what is to come later on with them. So check out some new things that we've got coming up with them. Before we move on to our tips of the day, because we always talk about tips of the day, I just received the most beautiful text message, and I'm not going to blast the person who sent it to me because I'm just not going to do that unless she wants me to do that. But I received the most beautiful text message, and in short, basically, it was to say thank you for having these kind of conversations. And one of the reasons why we started That's Life 2 years ago was to talk about heavy conversations. It's been 2 years, people, since we started That's Life. We started That's Life May 20th, 2022. So if you can consider all things, we've been doing this now off and on for the last 2 years. But one of the reasons that we talk about the topics that we talk about is because we know how much it impacts the community, right?
Yeah.
Conversations like this don't happen. We don't talk about heavy conversations, you know. We have made it a point to have conversation about different things, a host of different things, whether that be about coming out as the LGBTQIA community, whether that's about infertility, whether that's about forgiveness. We talk about the topics that a lot of people hesitate to talk about. And we're going to talk about a lot of more topics that a lot of people hesitate to talk about. But the reason why we do that is because we want to be transparent. We're a show about transparency, about honesty. And it's just important that we do that. And that's the reason why we do this show. And so the person that sent me that loving message, you know who you are. I love you to the moon and back. Thank you for your love and your support, because this show, it's a very heavy conversation for the two of us, for obvious reasons, because we could have never imagined that we would even be among you all having this conversation. So I'm thankful for those that really support us and see what we're doing as it relates to That's Life and as it relates to the conversations. So now we're going to talk about tips. And we always talk about tips because that's just what we do, people. We bring things to you that are practical, and we try to talk about the things that influence what we do day to day. Now, pregnancy is one of those things that you can plan. It could be unplanned. It can be based on a circumstance or a situation. It can be based on anything, right? But these tips that we took from Hopeline's website are specific things that you can do if you're dealing with an unplanned pregnancy, right? It's important to remember that we're not in a place of judgment. This is a no judgment zone. This conversation that we're talking about is from a no judgment place. And so that's why we're giving these tips, okay? So Sean's gonna read the first 3 tips, and then I'm gonna talk a little bit about what these things actually mean. So Sean, take it away.
All right, so number 1 says, acknowledge that you are in shock, and that's okay.
And I think that that's the most important part about pregnancy, people. Like, you know, it's very easy for people to say, oh, well, you knew when you had sex that you could get pregnant. Some people really legitimately don't know that they're going to get pregnant. People don't have sex for the intention to avoid pregnancy and or to get pregnant. I mean, you know, it's just kind of this very, it's kind of a crazy thing to think of. So unplanned pregnancy is shocking. Okay. It is something you do not expect or plan for or likely even think about. Most people, when they're having sex, do not think about the idea of pregnancy. They just don't.
They're just in the moment.
They're in a moment.
Yeah.
It might take a few days for you to accept, and that is okay. Give yourself time to process and take it in.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, I'll speak on my situation. I didn't have time to process. Did you hear what I said? I didn't have time to process because I had at that time, a partner who was unwilling to hear anything I had to say.
Yeah.
So there was no time to process that I was pregnant, much less that I was having an abortion. And so I never got to really fully grieve and or think about what that looks like. What would you say about that for you?
Same with mine. It happened pretty quick when first didn't know that I was. We thought my body was changing because we happened to go to Connecticut. And it's like, it's a different atmosphere. It happens. Yeah, no, that wasn't the case. We ended up taking 3 different pregnancy tests and found out that, yeah, you are. So it happened all pretty quick. Seeing the doctors and having all that happen. Didn't have a chance to go through each shock. It just, everything hit right in the back. And that's where that depression just sunk in. We just fell into a little hole and just went to fetal position.
Yeah. You really, some people just don't have time to process. You have to just be what it is. And I think for me, I can speak, I didn't really process that I was pregnant, nor that I had an abortion until after the fact.
Yeah. That's
just the way that it is. So, take that time that you need to acknowledge how you feel, and don't let anybody shun you away in terms of how you feel. Number 2,
allow yourself to be emotional.
Y'all, this is a real deal, Holyfield.
Yes.
All the way 100% truth as it relates to unpregnancy. Let yourself feel the emotions as they come. Be angry, be excited, be frustrated, be confused, be all those things. Write down your emotions as you experience it so that in a few days when the intensity subsides, you can review them and figure out how you still feel about your pregnancy. Now, I'll speak from 2 sides of this coin, right? I'm going to talk from when I actually found out I was pregnant and had the abortion versus when I actually got pregnant and had a child. When I got pregnant and had a child, all those things that they said to do, that's what I did. I wrote down my emotions, my thoughts. I was excited. I was scared. I cried. I was happy. The first time around, I didn't have an opportunity to do those things. And so in hindsight, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to be able to get pregnant again so that I could feel the emotions, the raw emotions of what it takes. And one of these younger years when a little person gets pregnant, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, she'll do the same experience. She'll have that same experience because pregnancy is a ball of emotion, people. It's a ball of emotion. And so you let your emotions come as they do. So that's a very good tip as it relates to unplanned pregnancy or just pregnancy in general as a whole. Number 3,
face your doubts.
Most women, whether their pregnancies are planned or unplanned, experience doubt about themselves and their ability to make a healthy pregnancy decision. It can be easy to let fears and doubts overwhelm you, but it is important to realize that those initial feelings are not enough to base your decision on. Acknowledge those feelings, but don't let your fear make your choice for you. Remember, you do not have to make a decision right away. And that was something that I really wish that my younger 21-year-old self knew, because I felt like I had to make a decision right away, straight away. And in doing so, not that I live in regret. Let me just say it that way. I live in regret because I made a decision right away, straight away. Now I try to be a woman that takes their time and makes a wholesome choice. Sometimes I think on haste. I'm woman enough to say that I do things in haste. I'm human, right? We all have, sometimes the urges to do things that we shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, I try to make good, wholesome choices, and I don't let anything creep in, including fear and doubt. I just do my very best not to do so. Even though I told Sean, not to read the other 4. She's going to read, the other 3. She's going to read the other 3. And I'm going to read.
Change up in the middle of the show.
Hey, we love it up
See
over
how she
here.
do me?
So number 4.
Visualize the different options.
And there are different options, people. Okay. So some people want to take it a step beyond fear and visualization. Some people imagine having their baby at home. Some people picture grocery shopping and doing routine things that they do every day with their kids. Some people, if they choose abortion, think, what emotions would I feel a week after I do it, a month or after I do it, or even after I hold my first child? If you're planning adoption, can you picture yourself going through the process? How would that make you feel? Each of the decisions are difficult in their own way. Reaching out to a trained optional counselor may help you navigate through the process, okay? It's important that when you make decisions, and you look at every viable option, okay? And it is important for yourself that you do that. Not for anyone else, you do that for you, right? It's very easy for the government to tell you what to do with your own body, people. Women, you feel empowered to make the decision. Think about every single viable option that you could possibly think about.
Your body's your temple. Your body's your temple.
Say that loud for the people in the back of the congregation.
Your body's your temple.
Absolutely. It is your body to make the decision about what you do. So think about that. Number 5, which is a very, very good one.
Don't let finances be your top concern.
Listen, finances are important, people, but they shouldn't be the only factor and your base for pregnancy decisions. There's a lot of help available to you. Hope Line, which is the website that we're featuring and sponsoring, offers resources and referrals to help women and men that are facing pregnancy decisions. And guys, let me tell you something. We as people, we tend to make decisions based on the fact that sometimes it doesn't work. Now, I'm going to use this as an example. And this one, it doesn't relate to what we're talking about today, but I kind of want to give you an example of something. When Sean and I were looking for a place to live, and we were going through the home buying process, which shout out to this beautiful set that we're on. We literally were about to make a financial decision based on the fact that we thought we couldn't afford this house.
Right.
Instead of looking at the overall totality of could we really afford this house? Because we allowed other things to get in the way.
Right.
We talked about, oh, we got credit cards. Oh, we have a car note. Oh, we have high car insurance. Oh, we have this. Oh, we have that. But at the end of the day, if it was meant for us to have this house, which we did get this house,
yes,
it was going to be.
Yep.
It's the same concept when it comes to parenthood, people. Don't make a decision about being a parent because you don't have money. You'll never have enough money.
Right.
Even if you are a millionaire, you will never have enough money.
Stuff always happens.
Things happen.
Yep.
Okay. I have a friend who, I'm gonna tell her business. She has money. Okay.
Tread lightly.
I will.
Okay.
She has money, people. She's not broke by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. She could give her child whatever she wanted, whenever she wanted to give her that, right? But she couldn't predict that her baby would get leukemia. Okay? No parent can predict that their child's going to get cancer. And that's an expense. It's a major expense. Okay? So don't use finances as a reason, as an option for why you choose to. I know sometimes it's easy to do that because it's just easy to do that, right? But again, it goes back to that previous point. Think about all options before you go to that option. So just remember that when you're doing these things, okay?
Remember, we went through a whole pandemic, so a lot of people lost jobs, lost income, lost money. Who probably had good bits of money.
Absolutely.
And lost it because they couldn't work.
Absolutely. And there is lots and lots of community resources that are offered to people who are in a situation that they don't know how they can get themselves in. We actually do a whole segment every single Friday for resources for people. So check out resources if you need resources.
Yeah.
Number 6, the most important one,
find non-judgmental support.
People, it is important that people have many thoughts and feelings about unplanned pregnancy. It's important that you find people who will offer encouragement and help you in your time of need. If you're unsure, find a friend who can help you with a resource. Resources like Hope Line can help you with free and confidential support throughout your pregnancy. Y'all, let me tell you something. And I'm going to say this in love, and I hope that when I say this, I don't get a lot of backlash. Stop judging people.
If you weren't going to say it, I would.
Stop judging people. We judge people based on decisions that they make for their lives, and you're not them. And we as a community of people, not just so much Black, white people, women and men, just a community-based people, we are too judgmental about people and the decisions that they have to make for themselves, okay? You are not in a position to judge anyone. The only person that can judge is God. God and God alone only. So when you're experiencing someone who has an unplanned pregnancy, the best thing that you could do is be an encourager for them. You could be their cheerleader for them. You could advise them, maybe, but even if they don't take your advice, people, come from a place of love, okay? That's the most important key thing as it relates to this particular topic. Come from a place of love. Because I think that that's what we're missing now. What do you say about that, Sean?
I would have to say I agree on that. And there's something that just popped up in my head that, remember when we used to always hear the older people or other people always say, like, these people out here having all these babies, they can't never take care of them. They want other people to take care of them. But then you turn around and tell these people not to have an abortion. So it's like, how does that work? How
Like,
do you
which
say
one?
one thing, but then say the other? And it's just, you want me to...
Which one? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I said, when we first started this conversation, Sean and I, this is not a black and white conversation, people. I think we want to make Roe versus Wade, pro-life, pro-choice, a very black and white situation. This is not a black and white topic. There's some things that's black and white, you know, racism, that's black and white. Sexism, that's definitely black and white. But a lot of the conversation as it relates to pro-life and pro-choice, it's not black and white. I wish that our politicians, the way that they are so hard about pro-life, pro-choice, that they would use that same energy as it relates to unjust killing of Black men. I wish that they would have that same energy as it relates to women's rights and women that are being discriminated against pay. Have that same energy for that. We shouldn't have so much energy when it relates to pro-choice, pro-life. You don't know what a person is going through in their life. And I'm not here, again, we're not here to sell you on pro-life versus pro-choice. We're not here to sell you on that. We as women that have gone through an abortion process, we live every day with that decision on our mind. Could we have done something different? Both of us do. We equally have that feeling, that thought every day. But instead of wasting so much energy on Roe versus Wade, maybe we should have the same energy with banning assault rifles and not having mass shootings in the United States of America. Because that, to me, is a more hot topic than Roe versus Wade.
Right. Why should we make all this fuss over what women should be able to choose to do with their body or their babies? Because you got mothers who's having kids that go into postpartum depression, and then they end up killing their baby. And like, what kind of mother is? Maybe she didn't have the choice because somebody took the choice away from her from that decision.
Absolutely. And even down to when we talked about it earlier today about, you know, lethal injection and the electric chair, you know, we could argue about that. There's so many other policies and things that we can argue about.
What you want to push.
Absolutely.
We're going to kill this person for what they did. You can't kill that baby. It hasn't even took breath yet.
Yeah.
It's still inside my body. It's my genes.
And even if they have taken a breath, it's still my choice to make that choice. Just like people make the choice every day about, you know, like we said, killing of Black men. You know, like we witnessed the George Floyd and the Derek Chauvin thing play out on TV. You know what I mean? So these are topics that are more prevalent that we should put more emphasis on instead of focusing on
finding more
women.
ways to keep a woman in line with their own body and choices.
Absolutely. We hope that you learned a little bit about our story, our backstory. Again, we're not here to sell you on anything. We just wanted to kind of talk about our experience as it related to abortion. And for all those women, I'll speak for me first and I'll let Sean say her little piece. For all those women that have experienced abortion, we sympathize, we empathize with you. We understand your feelings that you feel every day. We understand what it's like to wake up in the morning and question whether you made the right choice at that given moment or given time, whether, will God still love you? Will he have forgiveness for you? We understand your pain. I understand your pain. I think about my angel baby all the time. I think about the fact that this little person, big person, probably would have been 20 years old. I would have had a 20-year-old adult, And so I think about that all the time. But I also think about the fact that when I see this person again, I hope that they will embrace me with love and understand the decision that I made. Sean.
Yeah, I can't really back that up with anything with what you just said. That was powerful and very moving what you said, honestly. But at the end of the day is, nobody knows the decision of why you made that decision. That has to be yours or the decision that you made. But just know that there's still a community out there that understands, that's been down that road in one way or another. And we know that decision does not come easy. And then having to live with it after it's definitely not even easier. It actually gets harder. But just know that we are stronger to push through, and that you just have to believe in yourself that the choices that you made is for your own benefit.
Absolutely. We're stronger together, people. We're stronger together. We're going to end now with our quote of the day and, of course, our Bible verse of the day. Before we do that, as we talked about before, you guys, you can follow us on all of our social media, including TikTok, IG at That's Life 0320, YouTube at That's Life by Leah Leach, Facebook at That's Life 0320.
2020, baby.
And of course, our website at that'slifebyleahleach.com. Bring a friend, tell a family member to come and check out all the topics that we're talking about. We're going to have a lot more controversial conversations as the time goes on, people. We're going to talk about all kind of things, so it's important to talk about things, because the only way you're going to get past the uncomfort is if you have an open dialogue about it. So that's just the bottom line. So I'm going to let Sean read our quote of the day, which is from one of my favorite people, rest in peace, to Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I feel so honored. The decision whether or not to bear a child is central to a woman's life. To her well-being and dignity, it is a decision she must make for herself.
And she said it best. It's a decision that a woman should make.
That part.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes 3:11. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one, and I mean no one, can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning into our episode about, being in the middle of pro-life and pro-choice. To all you women out there, we sympathize, we empathize. We as a community of women are with you, ride or die, all the way to the end. We love you until we see each other next Saturday for Butterfly Moves at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on our YouTube channel.
Let's get it.
And of course, you can check us out for our Saturday show, That's Life, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we talk about whatever the hot topic is of the day. That'll be our third episode of season 7.
Let's go.
All right. We'll see you next time. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.